But coming from being a heel myself and a fellow bad boy, and where sometimes we're just misunderstood.
You still think that, right? Okay. Okay, let's try this as a little experiment to figure out what kind of a heel you are. If I were to do a survey here and ask John Evans, who's teaching right now, if you were a heel, what do you think he would say?
I mean, they do call me the Mad Enforcer, so.
John Evans, is Brady a heel or a baby face?
It's tough. I would normally say he's a baby face, but I know he's working hard to be the heel.
You don't work hard to be a heel. You are, you aren't.
You don't. I don't know. Tell that to Brady.
Also, why did you grab the fence like this? This was the creepiest thing I've ever seen in the back of an interview because we can't fully sleep. What is up, ladies and gents? It is your friendly neighborhood BJJ podcaster, Rafa Esparza, coming to you with another great installment of the Grappling Hour. Now, you probably already know who the guest is, not just because you can read, and I'm sure you pressed this episode because you can read them, also because he's vaguely in my shot. I can't do that to other guests, but I know you well enough. It's fine. You don't have to be sorry. People come to see you. They're going to see you in a second. But in the meantime, why don't I tell you guys, hey, if you like the show, here's a few things you could do. First and foremost, head to patreon.com/grappling. Why do you keep going into the shot?
Sorry, Raf.
No, I don't know what you were doing. You
I
were
was
literally
just testing the camera.
just so silly.
It works.
It does work. Patreon.com/grappling hour. If you guys go there, you can see our interviews 30 days before anybody else for just $5. And for a few extra dollars more, you can see tape studies, athlete breakdowns where we watch the fights with the athletes, and you can even see a segment called Roast Raf where people roast my competition footage, which, by the way, still the most popular segment we have. For whatever reason. Can't tell you why. Nonetheless, you can check those things out. You can also find us, you can get some merch, some Grappling Hour merch. It's cold. And you need a hoodie. So the way that you make yourself warm is you put on a Grappling Hour hoodie, and then you will feel nice and warm, and it will make you compete better because science. So do those things. You can also check us out, like, comment, and subscribe. That is a big one. Make sure you do those things because we want more people to see this interview. And if you like the conversations we have here, you can find us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Rank and review when you go on those things. And head on over to Discord at Grappling Hour if you want to continue the conversations we have here on the show. All right, our guest. Well, our guest gave me a heart attack. Let's put it that way. Blood pressure went up. It was nerve-wracking. I mean, I'm sure more for him than me. But nonetheless, he had a very hectic past couple weeks that turned out really, really well. And incredibly well to the point where I said to him, hey, man, we got to do another interview because we have to kind of put in stone. We have to mark the occasion of you continuing to do well and get these heel hook finishes. So welcome back to the show once again. My very good friend, Brady Huang. How are you doing, sir?
Good, brother. Good to see you again.
It's good to see you. Okay, let's get to it. You got a third heel hook finish.
Yeah.
How many MMA fighters do you know that have 3 heel hook finishes in their resume, if you would?
I don't know. Maybe Ryan Hall, maybe, perhaps. I don't know. But I don't necessarily know if it's been 3 in a row for him. So, yeah.
I mean, at this point, you have become quite the leg locker. The last time you were featured on the leg locker account, this time it was a little bit out of necessity, and we'll get there. But nonetheless, your mechanics continue to impress every single time. And I feel like what I've seen is the progression of how you attempt and how you hit your leg locks even gets better every single time. So do you mind telling us how you were able to finish this time?
Yeah, how I was able to do it was half conscious and surviving and finishing off heart, instinct, on autopilot. I mean, you tell me, right? Like you said you almost had a heart attack.
I did. And well, so here's the premise, and we'll get to all of these details in the process of our conversation here. But the very first thing we should note is, I originally was planning to go see and cover your fight on November 30th.
Right.
Things happened. We'll talk about that. But as a result, I ended up giving the next week away to some friends. And so I couldn't go see your fight. And I felt terrible because I really did want to see you fight again. We had been waiting for you to get another fight. It's always a terrible sort of back and forth. We don't know. It fell through. And then I kind of asked my friends if it would be okay if I had it on my phone.
Yeah.
So I put it on my phone, put it out like this at the dinner table, and was legitimately just kind of keeping eyes on it. And I said, oh, Brady's fighting. When he comes up, I definitely got to pay attention. I had some other friends fighting. I said, all right. And as soon as you went up, they're like, is that the guy? And they saw me get stone silent. And I was like, mm-hmm. They go, okay. And then the fight started. And then they heard me making noises like, oh, okay. Okay. No, that's fine. We're okay. Oh, that's not great. Okay. No, we're good. And then once I saw you touch the leg, I said, we're a wrap. We're done. And my friends had no idea, as they weren't necessarily watching the fight as much as they were watching me. And they were just like, are you okay now? I go, yeah. And dude, I felt like I was coming down from it because I go, yeah, I'm fine. It's cool. It's cool. He won. I'm glad he's okay. We're eating appetizers. And I was like, you just got to understand, it's like super rare that somebody gets that many heel hooks in their time. So I'm good. 20 minutes later, still finishing a beer, being like, man, I'm so happy for him. Just so, woo. It worked out for us. So how did you feel?
I felt like, man, my fights are always intense, right? It's funny because, like you said, I had 3 heel hooks in a row now. Mm-hmm. And at some point, I was in trouble in all 3 of those fights. And, I guess when I lock in and I'm looking for the heel hook, I know it's finishing time. So no matter how hurt I am, or if I get bum rushed in fights prior to this, or if I'm losing the fight, I know if I find a leg, I'm going to take it home. And in this case, took his ACL home. So,
and you did. And here's the other weird part is, I have trained with that guy. Like I didn't recognize him at first because I saw the poster come up. Mm-hmm. And I remembered him being a very tough role. Yeah. I know now he trains over at AKA. Yes. And I thought, man, if he was good then, he's definitely gotten better since. And he did look better. But I just remembered him being a rough role and having good balance. So for you to, in a rush, not only off balance him, but get to such a advantageous position, shows what great instincts that you have. What do you credit that to? Because to me, sometimes I've got good instincts and full parts of my brain working. Still won't finish like that. So what do you attribute to getting that finish?
Oh, man, I have such a good coach in John Evans at Breakdown Academy. He's an amazing technician, and I aspire to be a technician as well. And even dating back to, when I was living in San Francisco, Mike Morrell at the Cave Academy and my good friend Nico Requesto, they helped me a lot. Just kind of testing the waters with leg locks. I wasn't quite good at it back then, but, over the years, since about, like 2018 is when I started, and, recent years, I really started to find my niche in it. And then now it's like, it just comes natural for me. And I just think it's such a beautiful art when you're attacking legs. And I think it could be its own little subcategory of not just jiu-jitsu, but fighting in general. It's funny because when I'm training it, I'm very careful, very cautious when I'm hitting it on my opponents, right? Like usually when I hit the heel hooks, my body language is to let go like this, to not crank, to not tear. I was taught when I was first learning heel hooks to catch and release. Yeah. So it's quite the feeling in a live fight when you're looking to cause some serious damage, because your opponent's trying to separate you from your consciousness. So it's all fair.
Yeah, but it's also, I like that you attribute this to John, as you should. John has great techniques. Yeah. He's back there doing work. But I don't think that John's knocking you out and having you work off of like a half-conscious brain.
Right.
So when you're like, I attribute this to him, I'm like, sure.
Yeah.
But I know that's not how you train that. It's just in the moment. It's the best aptitude test to show that's what you're going to do in that situation. And I'm so glad it works. Clearly, the very concerned patrons at the bar restaurant that I was at were also relieved, because I don't know that I've ever put down a phone more like this in my life. Because, you know, when you're watching UFC, sometimes we know people, and then sometimes they're just nameless faces.
Right.
When it's your homie, you're like, oh no, I really want this to go well, him to enjoy his day. Here I'm like, it's definitely going to leave an imprint on you afterwards.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, a good day at the office.
Thank you.
I would say I want to go back, because we talk a little bit about this. We'll talk a little bit about even somebody like Nico that you mentioned there. How insane is he to have flown in for your fight? He was there for the weigh-ins and then flew out for like a red eye to get back up to coach that next morning.
Yeah.
When he told you he was coming in, he always comes in.
Right.
But when he told you he was leaving, did you process what time he was leaving, or did he not even tell you what time?
I did process it, and I knew, and I was kind of already mentally prepared, even before the fight was, done deal, that I would be giving him a ride and probably not even sleeping after the night of my fight. So he stayed with me. I picked him up from the airport the night before weigh-ins, and he helped me cut weight, and he was great about it. That's a whole nother beast, the cutting weight and basically doing whatever you're doing to your body, and pushing the limits of how much weight you could drop just to fight a day later. So Nico was excellent in helping me with that process. And after the fight, we went to get ramen and made sure he got to the airport, LAX, nice and safe and sound. And yeah.
So you're doing all of this. You're also an Uber at the end of the night after your fight is done.
Yeah.
I mean, you're both good friends. So it's not just
Yeah.
you being a good friend. That's him flying in to be there for you when it's a tough time. And dude, he's such a great person to have around. So
Yeah.
I was stoked to see him.
Yeah.
But then when I put one and one together and I saw him on a flight and I was looking at his stories, I go, you didn't fly. Oh my God, you flew back already. And he goes, yeah. And I got a note from him later that just says, I haven't slept. Maybe this wasn't a good idea. And I go, oh my God, dude, like, please get some rest, dude.
Yeah, Nico's a good dude, man.
So, okay. We talked about that. I want to maybe back up here. Let's kind of get this chronologically, because I mentioned that I was supposed to be at your original fight.
Yeah.
So you had one that was supposed to be on November 30th. From your perspective, what happened to that fight? Did you have your opponent pull out? And if so, how did you take that news when you first heard it?
Well, to answer that part, devastated. To answer the first question, yes, I had an opponent pull out. It's very, very frustrating. I was in contact with the matchmaker to find me a replacement, constantly bugging him, being more annoying than I usually am. And, he assured me he was trying his best. He was looking for people. He was scrambling. And, I'm basically holding my breath, thinking that I will get a fight, right?
Yeah.
So, unfortunately, I was not able to fight on the UNF card on November 30th. And once I kind of processed that, I already was on to the next one. And then that's when I got the offer from Lights Out Promotion, Lights Out XF. And they offered me an opponent out of the Nick Diaz camp. And I said yes right away, which was, convenient enough a week after the UNF cards. So shout out to both promotions for trying to have me. But ultimately, I had that opportunity for LXF, and I took it. And I had a fight. I had like 5 contracts signed, and I was ready to go in the last year. And, pullouts are kind of becoming a recurring theme of my career. So I took the fight, and eventually it worked out. Even I mentioned that this guy was supposed to be out of Diaz camp. That fight fell through. And shout out to, I'm going to butcher my opponent's name, but some Kazakhstani crazy
you
name.
were hold on. I want to point this out because I saw you on air. So I didn't just watch your fight. Watching your fight is nerve-wracking enough. But I also am your friend who hosts stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So when you do your post interviews, that's where I also have more anxiety because I can't help you anymore. Like I can't be there setting up the interview questions for you. I'm like, hey, my friend might have taken a little bit of damage here in the head. I would prefer to ask him the easiest question, which is, how are you feeling? Instead, it was what's going on? And you're just like putting it all together like it's been crazy. And I thought the fact that he's making words, he's okay.
Yeah.
But still concerned.
Yeah, you know, I'm more than a fighter. Sometimes I can hold my own on a mic.
You know what, Brady? It's not that you can't. It's that you hit me a couple times. I'm not as good at this suddenly anymore.
That's fair.
It's the black belt sort of thing where they say you hit a black belt a couple times, they're a brown belt.
Yeah.
You hit me a couple times, this wit is out the window. So I was concerned and I was watching you and I saw you kind of talking about the crazy week that was.
Mm-hmm.
But you did one thing that was really good impulsively, which was you're not going to commit to saying the name. You just said, I don't want to butcher my opponent's name, but let's give him props because you're the ultimate babyface when you're on there. And I thought
I could be a heel too. You see the Darth Vader?
You know what?
Christmas sweater?
You know what the best part is? You're a face wearing a heel shirt to try and make us think that you're not a face, which only makes you more of a face. I've known you too long. We've discussed this too many times. Why you're always the face and I will always be the heel. And I like being the heel. But I would tell you against other people who host, probably a baby face.
I mean, I don't know. I took a quiz once and I was actually selected for Slytherin. So
I hope that you carry that around like SAT results and you're just like, look at this. This says here I'm a Slytherin, just so you should know.
I could be edgy too, you know?
I don't think that's the case. I very much think you are a by the book good guy. And your post speech did allude to that. So when you did say that, you did say face. No one was offended here. And you made sure to give him his props. I also want to like hold on this one thing, which was there was a part of me that was minorly disappointed that Nate Diaz, camp member, fell through because I thought, oh my God, North Cal versus NorCal.
And Mayhem would have been in my corner.
And Mayhem would have been in your corner. That would have been so much fun. And I should also point this out. I've run into your coaches more in the before and after than I have probably in the last 6 months because at the UNF fights, I ran into Mayhem and I ran into Ian and they still had people to go there and cheer for and coach. And I heard one distinct voice and I was like, why do I know that voice? And then I just turn around and I go, it's not one, it's two. But two very different people. And then I like turn around and I see it's Mayhem and Ian and I go, oh, of course it is. Okay. So we'll get to that dynamic here in a second. But when I saw them, they had started with, man, we're bummed for Brady. And I said, me too.
Yeah.
And then the next week I saw them individually, like at, different places. But then I saw Ian the next day after your fight at a local competition here at NABJJF. And literally as soon as we see each other, he's like, man, well, that worked out. And I was like, it did. And he's looking at me because he knows we have a mutual appreciation for you. It's just, how'd you feel? And I was like, me? How'd you feel, coach? Like, we went back and forth, and he had nothing but great things to say. So I want to go back. You having that fight, when I saw that go up, I said, that's pretty dope. That could have been a good fight. And then, of course, that falls through. But one thing I want to kind of mark here, part of the reason why I wanted to do this interview, I want to put this in people's heads so that they truly understand. When I know you're fighting soon, I say things like, hey, man, take some time off, do what you need to do. I'll see you when I see you. I'm not concerned. If you need me, I'm a phone call away. You let me know what you need if you need training. So I started putting things together. And when I didn't see your name, I sent you a message. I was like, you were him. And you said him. And I go, okay, I'm glad you're healthy. But then I said, do you know if you have a fight during the week of Thanksgiving? And you were like, I don't know. And it was literally the Wednesday going into Thanksgiving. So to me, it's heartbreaking because I know you want to see your family and they're 9 hours away. So you are kind of weighing like, do I go see them? Do I stay here? If I have a fight, I'm obviously going to stay and be here ready for that fight. And I remembered going to my wife and being like, I feel for Brady. So I told her, I was like, I offered if he needs rounds on Friday, whatever he needs, because I know most people are depleted. Most everybody somewhere else. So I was like, we're here. I'll just let him know if I'm around. And next thing you know, you were kind of telling me, you're like, I'm waiting to hear back. And then I guess it fell through. You went to go see your family, and I was at least happy you got that.
Yeah.
What is that strain in terms of that? Because that is the life of a fighter, but especially on the holidays. Like, how difficult does that weigh in your head between, like, I want to see my family, but I also want to be committed to my craft?
Right. Like, you want to fight, but I wanted to, visit my family, but I didn't want to take my foot off the gas pedal. Just in case I got a fight, which lo and behold, I ended up having a tough fight. And not to mention, we're talking about Thanksgiving. We're talking about putting some LBs on. So to have all that yummy food and to come back and try to make weight, man, fucking what a trip! What a rough few days. Ultimately, I do not recommend celebrating Thanksgiving and fighting, and cutting weight, and doing it all the next week, because that made it a lot more difficult. I would have loved to have just gotten it over with, but the MMA gods decided I was gonna enjoy my Thanksgiving, drive back home, get the news, drive back, and get ready for a fucking fight. So, can I cuss here?
Yeah, of course. I mean, listen, dude.
I am a heel.
Yeah. Okay, we really believe you. You just learned these words on your way driving to this interview. I mean, I 100% fell for you in that sense where I was like, man, I just want you to enjoy your holiday, or be ready to go. Like, we can accept either. Like, you're either 100% in and you're committed to being in a fight, or it's like, well, I don't want to waste my time with my family. Right. So I was so happy when you said you went up. I was like, dude, I'm glad. I told my wife, she's like, oh my God, that would be so hard. I can't even imagine. I go, this is just 1 year. This happens all the time for fighters. And there's a lot more that we know that maybe if it's not directly happening to us, it's in our camps, our friends, our extended friends. So it's always going on. Anyway, having said all that, what did getting the win actually feel like because of all those dropouts? And we say this every single time. It has meaning, it has purpose. But in this particular case, it was a very hectic 2 weeks. Right. And I'm not even sure you had the ability to put that together. So what did it feel like once you were able to put it together where you said, I got the win. It was hard, but I did do it?
Man, I still don't think I've processed it all. The whole experience, it was very, very difficult in the sense where, fighters are focused, but my focus was getting tested. My patience was getting tested. I didn't even find out for sure that I was going to get a fight until the day before weigh-ins. Talking about Thursday morning, I got the
of that following week after Thanksgiving,
yes,
right?
Yes, because I had the fight with the original opponent, the Diaz camp fighter, and that ended up not working out somewhere in that week. And I went through the whole Wednesday, I believe, not being sure if I was gonna fight, and then I went to sleep. Actually, I'm almost embarrassed to say I had some food that night. I ate some salty foods. We'll leave it at that. Thinking, man, I want to fight, but I don't think they're gonna find me anything, because the previous promotion, thank the Buckners, thank George from Up Next Fighting, but they couldn't get me a fight. So I was like, I don't know if these guys are gonna be able to find me a fight. But lo and behold, I get a text from AJ from LXF. Hey, we found somebody, and I was like, hey, let's do it. That Thursday morning, there was no preparation, no game planning, no time to study this guy's fights. It was just, hey, I'm going to go in there with my weapons. He's going to go in there already having an idea of who I am, because we have some mutual friends. He trains out of AKA. I used to cross-train there when I was still living in the Bay. And I'm sure they was telling him things about how I fight or what to expect from me. But, hey, a fight's a fight, so he made it happen.
He definitely made it happen. I mean, again, it was concerning, but it came through. It worked. Once it had its moment where you got your win, getting to run into Ian was like a nice catharsis for, I think, him and for me. But this was your first full camp with Ian, correct?
Correct.
And how did that feel? Because I'll get to Mayhem next, but I think I've known Ian longer, and Ian's one of those guys who I don't see all the time, but we do have a mutual respect for each other.
Yeah.
We always love running into each other, and I feel like he's one of those sane people that I can run into and have a conversation about stuff outside of fighting,
Yeah.
where it's kind of normal. It feels like an actually normal person, where some MMA and jiu-jitsu coaches are kind of insane. So I felt like that was cool. But yeah, how did you guys come together?
So it's funny. Our good friend Colin introduced me to Ian years back. So me and Ian always had a real nice, real cool relationship, and he's brought me in to help one of his fighters, Will Elliott, for one of his LFA training camps. So me and Ian have been really cool for years now, and it just worked out with my schedule and my timing that I was able to commit and train with him and fully commit to the program. He just has such a high fight IQ, so much knowledge about fighting, and he's trained so many great fighters who's made it to the UFC, who's fought all over the world. Just the intricacies of how he explains things, and we have a very similar, calm personality. He's a very calm, very mellow, cool kind of guy. And, I don't necessarily need a coach yelling all up in my ear. He yells when it's time to yell, but he's very, very great at coaching. An excellent teacher, an excellent professor of just fight knowledge and fight IQ of mixed martial arts. So it was a great camp. Not to mention, this was after, another fight back in April. We were supposed to be traveling to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and that fight fell through. But I got a glimpse of what a great coach he was, months prior to this fight even taking place. So I'm very thankful me and him made it happen.
Yeah, I was very happy to see you guys together. Now, obviously, the other person is Mayhem. Now, I want to figure out if you ran into Mayhem before I did, because we ran into each other at New Ground. Now, it's very strange because Mayhem was somebody who obviously we all saw on all of those shows. He's got this larger-than-life personality, and then he's always been a sweetheart, but we never actually ran into each other until he actually showed up at New Ground. But we very quickly exchanged information and chatted, and it was always funny to compare, oh, you do this, I do that. Oh, you do this, I do that. And then all of a sudden, I see you guys were hanging out more and more. And then lo and behold, he's now firmly in your corner. So how did that come together? Because I don't profess to knowing him that long personally, but how did you guys click? How did you, this calm, reserved, very chill guy, get together with one of the most easy to hear people and yet larger than life personalities in all of MMA?
Man, what a great guy. So I'm a coach for this program called MVP. It stands for Emerging Vets with Players. So it's a program that takes military veterans and retired professional athletes, and we put them in an environment where kind of post training, post locker room, post military duty, where these guys have an outlet to kind of come together and just feel like they're hanging out with the boys again. So they'll work out, and we'll do a support group type huddle at the end. And Mayhem came to one of my sessions where I was coaching, and as soon as he walked in, I recognized him immediately. I wasn't even sure what to say to him. I was like, "Is it cool if I call you Mayhem?" Right?
Mr. Mayhem.
Because I've heard CM Punk talk about in podcasts where people walk up to him like, "Hey, Punk," and he's like, "My name is Phil." So I wasn't sure how to approach him. I was like, "Is it cool if I call you Mayhem?" He's like, "Yeah," and we hit it off. I felt humbled that he was attending my class where I'm, running the workout, but we're not supposed to say what we talk about in the huddle, but I've said this publicly before, and I'll say it again and again and again. I told him the first day I met him, if I could have half the success that you've had in your fight career for myself, I'd be very, very happy, very proud. So he kind of just took me under his wing, looked out for me. Just shared all of his knowledge and told me all of his stories of his fighting career, which I've looked up to. I've watched since before I even started fighting. And man, it's just great having a guy like him. Just been all over the world, fought the best guys: George St. Pierre, Michael Bisping, Jake Shields, Robbie Lawler, freaking Frank Trigg, and all these amazing fights. And he's taking all that knowledge, all that experience, and he's sharing it with me. So it's definitely leveled me up for sure.
And I mean, I've talked with him about you, and obviously I knew he was looking out for you. I knew he liked you, but a real sweetheart of a human being, like
Right.
that. I don't know that a lot of people have seen that side of him, but deeply cares about his people.
Yeah, so you mentioned earlier, we kind of have different personalities, right? So it's you might look at it like the yin and the yang. I'm calm. He's the he's mayhem, right? But as you said, he's a very nice guy, a very caring guy. God, what a heart that dude has. He's always looking out for his fighters, looking out for the people in his circle. I hear how he talks about fighters that he's coached and trained with from years, decades ago, and he still talks so highly of these guys. So he's a good dude. People look at him as a troublemaker, but I look at him as a real one, a very genuine human being, and I'm proud to be in his circle.
I would say this. I think that headlines are one thing. Try to know somebody first.
Yeah.
So I found that interpersonally, he's been very kind and always been very stand up whenever he shows up at new ground.
Yeah.
He, if you're his size, you could easily smash people.
Yeah.
I see him being the flowiest of roles for a number of the guys.
Yeah.
And I don't lose sense or track of that. So I always appreciate seeing him. But it is funny because I do feel like sometimes he and I can almost be having two different conversations.
Mm-hmm.
Because when we're talking, I might be responding to something and he already might be moving on to the next thing. Yeah. And I might be like, wait, I wasn't done. You know what? All right, we're moving on. Yeah. Okay. But I just love the fact that he has like this childlike ability to just free flow what he's saying. So there's a honesty to what he's talking about.
Yeah.
So when he's telling you something, I think we were talking about how we ran into him at a local wrestling show, the Republic of Lucha show.
Oh, yeah.
Where
yeah.
He was telling me, he was like, man, I didn't know that Brady was all into that. I was like, yo, he's big into it. He goes, man, that's so crazy. Brady's like, dude, he's so chill, but like, he loves this. I was like, he's a fighter, dude. He goes, right. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. And then I was about to say something like, yeah, we had a fun time. He's like, anyway, that's really cool that we're doing that. And that he moves on to the next topic. And I go, oh, are we done now? Okay. Yeah. So even as a guy who interviews people professionally, I'm like, he's just that personality. And it's endearing, but it's just so funny to me because I go, I want to always try and communicate as best I can. Yeah. But I also know that it's always from a place of endeared love, but that his brain works differently than mine.
Yeah, he's a real one, man. What can I say? He's a good dude. Yeah. Like you said, headlines are one thing, but coming from being a heel myself and a fellow bad boy, where sometimes we're just misunderstood.
You still think that, right? Okay. Okay, let's try this as a little experiment to figure out what kind of a heel you are. If I were to do a survey here and ask John Evans, who's teaching right now, if you were a heel, what do you think he would say?
I mean, they do call me the Mad Enforcer, so.
John Evans, is Brady a heel or a baby face?
A heel or a baby face?
Yes, the good guy in professional wrestling or the bad guy?
Oh, no, I got you.
Okay.
It's tough. I would normally say he's a baby face, but I know he's working hard to be the heel.
You don't work hard to be a heel. You are or you aren't.
I don't know. Tell that to Brady.
Also, why did you grab the fence like this? This was the creepiest thing I've ever seen in the back of an interview because we can't fully sleep.
Yeah, extra creepy tonight.
See, John was more of a heel than you were, just with the fence grab like that.
Claw.
You gotta step it up a little bit, Brady.
Yeah. You're too nice and you smile too much. You know what you can learn from, though? You can learn from Dom Mysterio. Because I feel like that's the kind of heel you could be. if you ever like his heel work is so head and shoulders above everybody right now,
it is.
but at his core, it's him just living his life and being like, I'm just doing this.
Yeah.
Who knows? I got these hot girls who all want me, which I'm like, this is the biggest rib in all of professional wrestling, that he's a ladies' man, and yet at the same time, he plays that character perfectly. So I feel like if you found that I'm just being a good guy and happen to do it the Dom Mysterio way, maybe that's the heel version of you. I do want to go into this, though. We talked about it. We mentioned, obviously, them being Ian and Mayhem. But the reason why it was so funny to me was seeing the UNF turning around and then seeing them juxtaposed together. Now, I've never seen the two of them together. What is that like? Because to me, you talk about a yin and yang with you and him. Those two are different, but I do see similarities in terms of some of their approaches, in terms of like how much they care for their fighters and like the attention to detail that I've seen Ian has. It's not lost on me when I see Mayhem work with you as well. So like, what would you say they are like as that pair?
I think they're a natural fit because they complement each other. Mayhem's a very crazy person to have in your corner in the sense where he'll give you all the energy, all the motivation you need. And I'm not saying Ian doesn't give that as well, but Ian's he's that calm voice, that reassuring voice, that you got this kind of voice, right?
Yeah.
And then they both have elements of what each other have, but they're a natural fit just in the sense that they care about their fighters, like you said. They genuinely love everybody they coach and just look out for their fighters. So it felt very natural. Very natural having them in my corner. And I felt like I was taking them with me to war, with me to battle, and I love having them have my back. It was great. It was great.
Dude. I again couldn't be happier for you and those guys, because that win was theirs as well. So same with John. Like, it's so funny to see now this trajectory of whenever we're talking about where are you getting this from? It's like, well, it's John. And then even who did I sell this to? So the people I was at, you know, I had told them the story of how we were working leg locks, right? And so the person I was with goes, so are you saying he won because of you? And I was like, no, I'm saying he's partially alive because of me. Like, I wanted to make sure my friend years ago could understand something that was technical about leg locks. But to me, seeing you now utilize that to stay safe in a fight is like, no, that's why we train this stuff. Like, that's why we, you know, it might seem like you're overstepping your boundaries, but whenever somebody says, can you help my friend? Can you do this for them? I'm like, I don't know if they know more than me or I know more than them, but I always feel like you got to give your knowledge because it might come in a rainy day.
Right.
And then, of course, you refined that with John and exceeded that. And that was always the source material for me. So seeing you guys work together, a natural thing. It's like a big win for all these guys that we like.
And you brought us together because remember, you and John commentated that what was it, SOS tournament, that underground tournament where things weren't even happening during COVID. And you got off the commentary table to corner me. And lo and behold, John, who was on the other side of the table, is now my guy.
He's your guy.
He's a guy and sharing everything.
And he should be.
It all worked out. Thank you.
Of course. But like, the one thing I remember from that night specifically, after we got that big win for you, again, should be noted, a win over Raul Rosas, Chiwiwis. Just saying. We love you, Raul, but you did not come give me an interview, so we're still beefing. When that happened, we went out to our cars. And as I was seeing you guys off, I said, I think you guys need to roll with each other. Like, I want to put you guys together. And to me, it was important for your next steps to, like, have John be part of whatever you do. And it's just like, I can't tell you this was going to happen. I can't tell you guys were going to be working together.
Yeah, but you will take the credit for it.
I will take a credit because I 100% said, I know as far as I can take you, and I want you to have more. And I wanted you to have that. And I know that some people will refrain from doing that. And I always think, why? Like, I can be a good training partner to you. I'm not going to go away. But why wouldn't you want John, who geeks out on this stuff and is a resource and like the best hidden secret in all of LA.
Yeah.
So when I saw that, I just made my pitch like, okay, cool. I didn't schedule you together. You just started seeing each other more. And when that happened, I was like, thank God, because now you have somebody who I trust.
Yeah.
That I know you're going to be safe on the jiu-jitsu side. And again, much like my friend being like, are you saying he won because of you? Not at all. I'm just saying things went well, and that's the stuff we all do whenever we're trying to be in these rooms together.
And like you notice, the 3 heel hooks that I've had, they've gotten better and better and better. So it's an ongoing process. It's a work in progress.
Yeah.
Like, I'm still learning. I'm still getting better. If you watch the first heel hook, it was nice. The second heel hook, it was cool. But this one, if I could give credit to myself, especially because I was half conscious, I was like, Mayhem described it as it looked like I was breakdancing on the floor while unconscious. Right? So it was like, man, it's been a very rewarding experience learning under John, and yeah.
Well, let me identify something. Specifically that clamp that you were able to do. Kind of this reap over,
Right.
and like this clamp to me was especially where I could calm down, because I said, I was like, man, that's such a good hold there. And I know how strong your dumb legs are, but I was like, man, he's probably going to land this. So I felt way more calm than I did maybe 20 seconds earlier in the fight. And it was not a long fight. So it was definitely something that kind of went in and out. So yes, very pleased that you now get the opportunity to work with this man and all that stuff. I would kind of want to detail a couple things here. Obviously, you feel good about that. That works. We're kind of winding down on a 2024 end, but before I get to the MMA prospects, I should probably tell you now, because I always wait till after your fights. We are now getting to go to Monday Night Raw premiering on Netflix, which is going to be a huge
January
show.
6th.
January 6th.
Oh, thank you for getting the tickets, by the way, letting me focus on the fight and taking. You the man.
You know what the worst part is, though? And I said this last time, too, but I think it bears repeating, because he doesn't learn from this. He literally hits me up like, hey, man, what's going on? And it's not when the pre-sale happens. It's literally 5 hours after the pre-sale. What are we doing? And I go, why were you not here 5 hours ago asking this
Because I know
question?
Big Brother got it. You gonna handle it.
Yes, I know. But you know what? What if Big Brother wasn't on top of it? Have you ever thought of that?
But you always are on top of it.
I usually am. I have a pretty good track record. But we
went to Mania last year. We're gonna go to Mania.
We're gonna go to
this
Mania
coming year, right?
In Vegas as well. And the best part about it is, I cannot tell you how ridiculous it is that I have to calm you down and go like, you have stuff to think about, dude.
Oh, yeah.
Go do your fight. We'll talk about it later.
Yeah, thank you.
It just to me is always so funny to sit back with you afterwards and go like, now's the time we can talk about it. And especially after that fight was done, and then you hit me up, I was like, you can talk about it now. 100% ask me any question.
Still
you want.
concussed. Like, hey, tell me what's the plan? What a black guy. Like, when we're gonna raw.
We're barely chopping it up. Like, you're okay. Everything was good. I'm so happy for you. And you go, yeah. So is this Raw after Mania happening? I was like, yes, sir. We can talk about it now. I wanted to ask you this because it didn't make me super mad at you, but it made me kind of think like, what is wrong with Brady? I said, hey man, let's do an interview over at the gym. You were like, oh, okay, I'm in. Let's do it sooner than later because I still got these black eyes. Do you think the interview's not going to be as good because you don't have the black eye, sir?
I just wanted to keep it raw, keep it real, show the effects of battle, right? And I just wanted to keep it fresh after the fight.
The stupid part about your jeans is that they started healing pretty quickly. So then you started being like, well, how's your Thursday look? And I go, listen, dude, I think my schedule's kind of booked. You go, oh, this is starting to fade. We need to make this interview happen quicker. And I go, that's not a prerequisite for what we do here. You don't need to look worse. So I got really mad at you when that was happening. I did notice, though, you felt like from all that stuff, it felt like some weight had been just taken off your shoulders.
Yeah.
In terms of you got your fight, you were there. So now that we talked about the wrestling prospects of what we're getting to do and the fun we get to do, what are you trying to have happen in 2025? Because to me, 2024, I'm sure you had other plans of what you wanted to do, and then you just made things work. So idealistically, what would happen for Brady in 2025?
Well, first things first, I had a fight lined up on April 20th of this year. I was promised that rebooking of the fight against Ethan Gauze. That's out in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Shout out 247 Fighting Championship, Mr. Hunter, for having me back on. Ethan Gauze is fighting this Saturday. He's defending his 155 belt for their promotion. And, God willing, if he's healthy, he's going to defend his 45 belt against me. We're going to finally finish our business February 1st in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania at their new venue. So I'm looking forward to closing that chapter of my career, and we finally going to meet in the cage.
That's awesome. So you already have something to look forward to.
Yep.
So that means not a ton of Christmas cheer. It's kind of right back to work sooner than later.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay. Well, February 1st, that's right around the corner here. But then past that, what do you look to do? Like, what comes next? Because, for you, one thing that I always like to point at people when they talk about you as a fighter is I'm like, obviously, he's a good guy. He fights well. He's got great jiu-jitsu. But, like, your record's really good. Like, it's a very solid record. So whenever people forget that you're so nice, but I'm like, right. But it's one thing to be nice as a fighter and that be the one thing you know about them. You're a very solid fighter. So it's like, damn, bro, you have a lot of things that I'm sure could go your way. It's just, what do you want after that?
Yeah, an elephant in the room for me is I had my shot on Dana White's Contender Series. Lost that fight. Didn't get signed. I would love another crack. I would love another chance to fight at the UFC Apex and right that wrong and basically show all the things I've learned since then and make that negative into a positive. It's been a crazy ride, right? After that fight, I went on a 3-fight losing streak and, made the best out of a worse situation, upped my game, and now I'm on a 3-fight winning streak. So anything could happen, especially if you watch my fights. As intense as they get, I always come back now. I'm always going to keep fighting to the end, whether I'm conscious or not. In this case, unconscious. But I want another crack, man. So,
have you thought about this? Has there been any thought to you as an MMA fighter as the UFC starts to build up their jiu-jitsu programs? Because there's not a lot of people who have that ability to do both. You seem like in a not bad position. And as they're starting to build more and more jiu-jitsu athletes who probably have the flexibility of being an MMA fighter as well, 3 heel hooks might not be a bad angle to go back to that Apex Center as well.
Right.
So would you be open to even that kind of an opportunity?
Oh, absolutely. I'm a fighter. I'm an MMA fighter first and foremost, but I love jiu-jitsu. I love competing in grappling tournaments. I love competing whether it's a local tournament or I'm traveling. Jiu-jitsu is what I do, right? I love jiu-jitsu. I love fighting, but jiu-jitsu is something that even when I'm done fighting, years after I hang up my gloves, I'm still going to be rolling, still going to be tapping your ass out.
Probably.
Right? I'm still going to be working on my craft. So, yeah, absolutely. I would love to be more active on the grappling scene. But, yes, I would. Yes, I would.
Because what's hilarious is the homies from Subversive, they hit me up, and they're like, oh. And I go, fight first.
Right.
I was like, I want my guy to have whatever he wants first.
Yeah, because there was an event like a week before mine, 2 weeks before mine, right?
Yeah, we put together our first fight club, which is kind of like our Apex Center events. And for me, it was really important to get that up and running because we do these big shows, and I love the big shows.
Right.
But, like, I know there are certain parts of Cali or LA that don't get love. And I want to kind of go to those grapplers who do well and they sell well to give them their opportunities. So we came up with this fight club concept for Subversive Fight Club, and I've been very pleased with the first iteration of it. We also did a kids event for the first time. And I got to tell you, man, I had never had any inclination to doing a kids event. But these kids, these monsters, were so good that I was sold like the first match in. So when the boys were in the group chat, we had some people who were at the fights, and they were like, "What's Brady up to?" And I was like, "Brady is up to whatever Brady needs to get for his fights." I was like, "But if you want a jiu-jitsu match, we could potentially talk to him. I just want him to concentrate on his stuff first." So you're very welcome with us over on that side. But I definitely, it's very hard for me to sit there and hear these opportunities pass up. But I always like to put you on the path where I know you want to go.
Right.
So always there, just so you know. But it was very funny because I go, I'm not volunteering him for combat jiu-jitsu right now. But I was like, if you want him to steal someone's soul, he'll definitely slam somebody again through the mat. Like
You
he did the
remember
last.
that?
Oh,
Yeah.
I remember. And you know what's weird? I still have footage of that here on my phone. I don't think I ever gave it to you because I just remembered being so in the moment that you didn't even seem like you needed it. You were just so on a high. But I followed you from the back with the camera.
You did.
And then I immediately had to go back to work for Subversive. So that's 2 times you got me to break my rule, which was one during commentary
Right.
and one during an event that I produce. And it makes me feel a certain way because I don't do it for anybody really. And I do wonder as I start to know more and more people, like somebody might start asking like, "Hey Raf, will you coach Brady?" And I'm going to be like, "Yeah, but you're not as tight as Brady with me." You know, like I don't want to get into that scale. So I thought about that, but I definitely was trying to gauge where you're going. So I think it's just another avenue that maybe
Absolutely.
something to think about, especially in this world of like
Absolutely.
this Apex Center has become such a beacon for the UFC. But when they said they're investing big in jiu-jitsu, there's a part of me that wonders this question. Do you just want jiu-jitsu guys? Or do you want to give a full exclusive contract to a jiu-jitsu guy who also does MMA? Because then they can't go anywhere else.
Right.
So it's advantageous for them to have somebody who could perform both, or that they get first refusal rights. And I said, that's not a bad thing for somebody like you in your case, where you've got a good enough record, you jiu-jitsu very well. So it's definitely an opportunity. Plus, you mentioned wanting to get one back in that arena. That would be the place you perform.
Yeah.
So just food for thought. What does the rest of the holiday look like for you? Because now that I know you got this fight, what does it look like? Do you get to go see your family again? Like, do you get to enjoy yourself? And when does it like really kick in that it's like, damn, I'm back at the office?
You know what? I know we joked a lot during this podcast, and we talked about, what it's like after the fight, before the fight. I want to get back in there. There's like this depression that a lot of fighters go through after a fight, right? I use an analogy. It's like when the circus comes to town, everybody's excited, right? But when the circus finishes, they move out of town, they leave all their garbage, they leave everything, left, and it's kind of like this empty void. And everybody moves on with their life, and mentally and physically, you're still suffering from the fight, right? So I'm still in that, I guess you could call it adrenaline-filled mindset of the fight. So now I'm at the point where I'm still coming down from it. I'm still obviously healing mentally and physically from the fight. So during these holidays, I'm gonna focus on, staying locked in and having this calm energy, and staying in the gym, even though I can't do any heavy sparring or hard sparring for another couple weeks. I want to still keep getting better. I want to get back in the lab. I want to see Ian. I want to see Mayhem. I want to see John Evans. I want to see all my training partners, and just kind of stay in that environment where I'm still growing, looking out for my training partners, because we're very selfish guys when we're like fighting, we're training, and it's all me. Fighters are giving you a certain look. They're putting their bodies on the line so you could beat them up, so you could prepare for the fight. Now I want to help out the other guys at Fight Science and at Breakdown Academy, and basically be the best training partner I could be now. And then when it's time for me, then we focus on me. But right now I just want to stay in the gym and keep growing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good to know. Good to know. I just asked that because there's a part of me that thinks, as you kind of put this together, you've already committed to what your next year looks like so quickly, and it is fun. But you do mention something that is very real, which is anybody who's a performer of some sort, and fighters are performers, you do go through that withdrawal, and it is hard to manage because for fighters, it's the release of the fight, good or bad, whatever happens. For somebody who produces stuff, it's like that Monday is always, well, what do I do now? You know, like, okay, now I finished that. Do I have another one ready to go? Am I supposed to build it all over again? So it can be very difficult, but what I always like to do is I stay busy. Like, I am a person that is always on to the next thing. So I very much look forward to seeing what that affords you in the 2025, because you have this good momentum. I'd love to see it continue. And I do feel like you are getting to show what we know of you as a grappler continuously.
Thank you.
And it is so fun to watch that journey, because somebody asked me point blank, they put two people, they gave out two names. I won't say the other name, but they're like, how do you think Brady would do against that guy? I was like, Brady's got him. And they're like, yeah. And I was like, yeah. And they wanted me to tell them why. They're like, why? And I was like, well, this dude has this, and he doesn't break in his grappling. Like, one of your best attributes is you can train for a very long time, and you and I will have like solo sessions where it's just me and you, and your brain doesn't waver. Like, you're very focused on doing that. How does that translate into MMA where there's 5 rounds or 3 rounds of 5? It's like, well, you don't stop until the job's done. So you're very locked in, where I've seen other people who are very good fighters break for half a second, and then they lose their positioning or they lose this. Like, you're never going to have that really happen with you. You always give full commitment, and seeing you kind of work under pressure was a testament to that. And so when I was watching with my friends, I was like, if he's there, if any part of him's there, he's fighting. Like, that's what you'll see out of him. So I think it's a true testament to what it is that you do best. But yeah, man, you deserve all the good stuff that you have been afforded, and very happy for you. I would kind of tell you this. So in this next year, I would love to see if you are this true heel character, because you keep dipping your toe into almost this pro wrestling thing. You're almost there. And I mean, we got to concentrate on this fight thing first. But I know we talked about the synergy of TKO for just the grappling side. But there's a whole world now that exists that didn't exist 20 years ago, where these guys couldn't cross over. Now all the crossovers there if you were to get into the UFC. So I'm just saying, it's good to be ready, because you don't know what or when will happen. But you've been going to enough of these local organizations out here and supporting pro wrestlers that I keep thinking to myself, I'm like, he's not far from being somebody who could enter the ring. Like, you're very close to that world.
Yeah, I have some ideas. Man, growing up watching wrestling, I would always wanted to be a high flyer, and sometimes I want to be a technician, and I go back and forth with what my role would be, right? So I think I could do some really cool stuff in that square circle when it comes time.
I think so too. He sells okay. He could work better, though. You know what I mean? Like, so. We'll work on that. You don't like that?
I mean, I make a better heel than you, so
you really don't.
Give me some more heat.
I will give you heat. You know what it is? It's that you don't even get a finishing move, because jobbers don't get finishing moves.
Excuse me, jobber.
Yeah.
Did you not see my last fight? I will put you in the heel.
Brother. I already know your tricks. In fact, if I wanted to see your tricks, I'd just go to the source material, either myself or that man over there. So you don't know when he's going to turn on you.
Nah, he wouldn't turn on me.
Oh.
He wouldn't turn on me.
Oh. The right persuasiveness could get him turned.
What a Hall of Fame duel don't work.
I don't think you understand. If I have one Monster Energy drink, he is legitimately going to go over to this side. It's not going to take much for John Evans. Oh, well, you brought that Monster for me? Oh, that's so nice of you. Yeah, I mean, I'll definitely coach you against Brady, but I'm going to feel pretty bad about it. I'm going to go, exactly. So just don't forget, I found John first. So you can't go over the more years that I have with Johnny.
But who's he with now?
He's with you because I let him be with you.
I'll let you think that, right?
You can think whatever you want, man. Listen, who do you think of? Did you schedule this here? Did you schedule the Breakdown Academy? The visit that we're at here today?
I mean, I scheduled the rescheduling. So I was responsible for
You
that.
were responsible for that one.
Yeah,
Okay.
I did that.
You were responsible for the rescheduling, even though I'm the one that you message me and you go, "Are we on tomorrow?"
No, you wanted a time. I was like, no. You're on my time, buddy.
That's not
You're
how
on
that
my
works.
time.
No, when you screwed over the last time because John didn't have the opportunity to give us that time, I'm letting you know that you, sir, did not put this together.
No, it's like when Sami Zayn wanted a title shot against Gunther.
Nah.
Gunther was like, no, you get a title shot when I say you
First
get a
of
title
all,
shot. You get an
all
interview
I
when
can-
I say you
I
get
can
an
only say
interview.
this right now. This dude right now is thinking just because he put on a few extra LBs that he's as big as Gunther. This dude is not as big as Gunther. I was like, bro, what weight cut did we do here, sir? Whatever you were fighting at was not what you're fighting at today. I'll just say that. But Brady, I want to do this. I want to give you an opportunity. Look at that camera right there. That is your camera. Feel free to shout out the sponsors, the people who take care of you, sir. Everybody who you want to help, give credit. Who gave you that win?
Well, thank you everybody for helping me get this win. I want to thank Jesse from Super Rare for hooking me up with my fight gear and just really taking care of me leading up to the fight. I want to thank Imran from Sanibel for looking out for me, being a great training partner, and just being one hell of a person and looking out for the whole fight community. I want to thank Ken from Fight Gallery. Thank you for hooking me up and keeping me warm before weigh-ins with the nice hoodie, the nice set. Thank you so much. I love the clothes. I want to send a rest in peace to a man I respect a lot, Mr. Bomba. Man, if you were here with us today, I know you would have loved the fight. I miss training with you. I miss all of our conversations about the fight game and all the things we've been through. I hope you're looking down and smiling upon us, brother. And yeah, until we meet again.
Very nice of you to say. It was insane. It's unfortunate, the news for him, but he was very kind to us over at Jog Center. I remember that way back in the day. And I didn't have clearly as many interactions as you did with him, but he was very warm to me. And man, he was a tough training partner. He was like really, really good. And I had the ability to roll with him in gi. And I arguably think he was better at gi than he was at no gi. But he was a very, very nice human being. So good call on that. Well, Brady, as we kind of come to a close here, I want to say congratulations, sir. You deserve it. You do so much hard work out in the gym with the right guys. You know, I'm always looking out for you, sir. But just next time, please don't give us that heart attack. Because to me, like, let's go home early. You know what I'm saying? For the good reasons. Let's go home early. Let's call it like a real quick thing. Now you got a time to beat. We're going to see if you can get a heel hook in 10 seconds. Because you do them pretty quick. And guess what? You know what's great about your fights? Those first round finishes are always like, well, this is great. We're done for the day. All right, we can get on out of here. So anyway, sir, I appreciate you. Thanks for coming by today. It'll be very fun to see you. And I'm looking forward already to getting the opportunities to go see the next WrestleMania. But I will say this. What is very funny about Brady in his nerdiness for all this wrestling stuff is that you always had me take like a photo op of you at every one of these events. And then you're just like, hey man, do you mind getting a photo of me eating the food? And I was like, the food?
I love food.
I
I'm
know
more
that.
of a foodie than you, right?
That is not true.
It is.
It is not true. Wow. You know what? Listen, sir, I'm going to need to talk to the commission right now because I'm ordering a fight against you. How are you more of a foodie than I am? I would like your credentials.
So, guys, whenever we go to these wrestling shows, Raph eats before the show, right? But when we're at these wrestling events, I'm trying all the different foods. I'm experimenting. I'm combining food. So
hold on. You are trying to put over wrestling food as your foodiness?
Bro, we sat in VIP. Did I not get those crazy nachos and all the freaking things? And
yeah, when we were at Mania, but when you're talking about going to like a local show here where there's hot dogs and hamburgers, and you know what? Last time I even asked you, I said, sir, would you like anything? And you're like, no, I'm okay. This guy got the food.
That's
yes,
not true.
it is.
I
what did you
out-eat
get?
you.
No, you don't. No, you don't. You don't get that. You can say better fighter, jiu-jitsu guy. Depends on the day. Depends on the. You have more heel hook finishes in a professional setting than I do. I will never take that away from you. But like, you know what I mean? Like sometimes somebody gets caught, and I'm just saying, by someone who's a lower level. But
I'm generous sometimes.
and
guys.
so am I, sir. I'm just saying, because I know somebody's got to be that sacrifice because somebody's fighting.
You know, when you let your little brother win the game every now and then in Madden or whatnot.
Absolutely. Or somebody's got to fight and you don't want to give him too much resistance because his little brittle body will just break.
Or when the radio personality has an image to uphold, you try to protect
Yeah.
that.
What's the image I have to uphold here, sir? Everybody here who gets to train with me knows exactly what it's like to train with me.
Get me on that roasting Raph segment.
Yeah, I think you would enjoy
get me on that
You would
damn segment.
The only thing is, I don't think you're funny enough. I think you're mean enough in the sense of you would say really
Yeah, I'm a
shitty
heel.
things.
I am mean enough.
Yeah, but you're not funny. The heel has to at least have some sort of comedic value in terms of what they're doing. I would have to give you the jokes to say about me, and I feel like I'm just being the heel again to myself, which is not hard to do.
A lot of heel knowledge coming from a baby face.
Yeah, of course. Yep, that's exactly what I am. I literally just yelled at you about eating less delicious food. I cut a promo on you because you were trying to convince these people through lies that you eat more than I do and more efficiently than I do. I can't believe you made the claim that you were a bigger foodie than I am. It's false, outright false. And you know how we can figure this out? Body fat. Right now, body fat per body fat, this has been used. This occasionally. It's like a used car. Every once in a while, it's got some mileage to it. But you know what? It's still being sold like brand new. This wrecked. You know why? Good food has gone into it.
I'll pull up the receipts, man.
You can pull up whatever your receipts. You can try whatever you want. Legitimately, I will tell you this. I was proud that you went to ramen as a night food. I thought that was good. But it's also because it was partially one of the few things open at that time. I do know that about this area, so I can give you that much credit. All right, let me say this. What are you eating tonight?
Oof.
No, foodie, please. Regale me with this. It's like 9 p.m., dude.
I'll find something.
Okay, but what are you going to find? Like, if you are such a foodie, you got to already have
There's
this
like
plan.
Chick-fil-A down the street.
You're going to get
Yeah, I
Chick-fil-A?
got some reward points. I could get myself a chicken sandwich.
Let me say, what do you get? What is your Chick-fil-A order?
The number one.
Number one? That's okay. I go spicy deluxe meal, no pickles, ranch on the side, waffle fries, and if it's a good night, maybe a cookie.
You gotta go ketchup. You gotta fix that.
What are you talking about, ketchup?
Ranch.
Ranch is the way to go.
Yeah.
Over ketchup?
Yeah, it's ketchup.
I like ketchup just fine, but
You
it's
put ketchup
not.
on eggs?
No.
So you don't know how to eat then.
Wait, I'm
That's what
so
you're telling
sorry.
me.
Why do you ruin the eggs with ketchup?
It's delicious.
Do you know when I ate that? When I was a child, and then I got over it because I have a refined palate now.
Well, what do you put on your pancakes?
Syrup and butter? Why?
What do you put on your eggs? Ketchup. Why do
No,
they give you
you
ketchup at Denny's and
don't.
IHOP? Because it was meant to be.
Hold on. John Paul, do you put ketchup on eggs? Yes or no? Yes? No.
Are we talking scrambled eggs?
Yes.
Yes.
First of all, terrible tasting food.
I don't do it anymore, but I used to all the time.
When you were a child, but you outgrew it.
No, I was like 20 something. Yeah.
Mentally still a child. I cannot believe that you ruin eggs by putting ketchup on them.
Yeah, it's good.
No, it's not
You're
good.
good,
Go
bro.
away. You're
It's
not
good.
useful
It's
anymore.
good.
You got this brand.
Hot sauce.
Hold on,
hot
hold on.
sauce.
Hold on. He brought in a very important factor. Hot sauce,
yeah.
on eggs, A+. But you don't need ketchup because it's getting redundant now.
Oh, whoa. Wow. Wow, he's throwing you off here.
No. I can take the hot sauce. Hot sauce will work. But hot sauce,
That Hispanic card is just...
he has too long of a hair to out spin. I mean, it's not going to happen like this. What is it? What did you say context?
No.
It's also the context. You're trying to just you're using the most Italian gesture to tell me you're more Mexican, sir. Good Lord. We're gonna have a big talking to with everybody here at Breakdown Academy. All right. Well, listen, we've exhausted the topics here. Brady, you and I are going to have words off camera, but again, congratulations to you. Super proud of you, young man. You continue to do excellent work, sir.
Thank you, Raph. You're the man.
Appreciate you, sir. All right, let me close this up. Hey, if you were watching this, you watched that guy, I want to say thank you so much for watching the entire way through. Remember, like, comment, and subscribe. If you like what we do here, it is very simple. You do those things, and if you were wondering what you could comment on now in that comment section, here's what I should ask you. Do you put ketchup on your eggs? I would love to hear your opinion on this. You do not, and get out of my shot. You know what? I'm going to zoom in now. There we go. No. Listen, dude, we're just gonna keep making my head bigger, which we don't need to do. So go ahead and respond. There's one right way to respond to that, and you should know the right way. Otherwise, you're a terrible human being. 2, you can also check us out, patreon.com/grappling hour. $5 a month, see these interviews 30 days before anybody else, and for a few extra dollars, see extra bonus content not available anywhere else. Additionally, RafAsparza.com/merch. Get you a Grappling Hour hoodie, get you a t-shirt, support the show. All of that goes directly back into the show. So we appreciate all y'all who wear those hoodies. We just saw a mutual friend who was wearing one of the hoodies here tonight, and I was jazzed. He literally busted it out. Was like, look, I wore this. I was like, dude, that's so nice. So super great. Appreciate all of our friends doing that. Last reminders, Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, like and rate and review on there if you like just seeing the audio versions of these shows. And of course, head on over to Discord at Grappling Hour if you want to continue the conversations that we have here on the show. Ladies and gents, that's going to do it for us here at the Grappling Hour. Thank you so much for watching. It's been a great day for grappling. We'll see you back on the mats.